Hey everybody, this is Weasel Dog. I'm in my temporary studio at this time. I'm about to tell you a story. The cool thing is, I'm going to do it in three parts. I'm going to give you a little background. I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to give you a thought. So here we go. Today's story is Blind Man's Bluff. The background. I grew up in Virginia, and there were 9 of us, brothers and sisters, counting me. There was my mother, and then there was my pop. We didn't call him Dad. We didn't call him Father. We called him Pop. Matter of fact, I found out 45 years later when I moved to Ohio, there was a drink called Pop. Didn't realize that then. Okay, so we had a 3-story house on Hampton Avenue in Virginia. And the funny thing is, it was 3 stories. First story had all the normal stuff. Second story had a couple bedrooms and a bathroom. And then the third floor was nothing but an attic. And 90% of the time, 5 to 6 of us boys lived up in the attic. And if you can imagine, if you're a parent, having children sleeping around you, even if it's in the barn next door, they make so much noise they kind of drive you crazy. So can you imagine, if you were my pop, you had your children living up above you, you worked 3 jobs, and so basically when you were home, you spent most of your time in the bed with the blanket pulled up to your navel, and what you basically did is you ate, you slept, you watched television, and you created one of those 9 kids. In almost every case, you have to have concentration. So can you imagine a pack of wild animals being above you? That's kind of rough. I understand it now, but I didn't understand it then. And as a parent, you know that you try to calm your children down so you can get some sleep and you don't go totally insane. So what do? You play a game of catching them either asleep, which you want to do, or catch them roaming around like wild animals. So we had some steps going up to the 3rd floor. And the game was, if my father could come upstairs with his railroad belt, and he caught us up and playing, kind of know what happened. But if he came up and the light was out and the bed that we were in bed asleep, he had accomplished what he wanted. I didn't know that then. So on this particular night, we were playing Blind Man's Bluff. If you don't know what Blind Man's Bluff is, it's basically where you take a pillowcase and you put it over one of the people's heads, and they're it until they touch someone else, then that person's it, and they put the pillowcase on. And the real cool thing about this game is, when you got the pillowcase on, somebody's kind of reaching over and touching you, and you jump at them, and you kind of run into a wall, fall over the heater, fall down the steps, almost fall out the window, or fall in a bed. It was a really fun game. And this particular night, it was Willie's turn. Now, I slept and had most of my boyhood, childhood with, whatever that is, with 2 boys. Willie, who was a little younger, and Mikey, he was a little bit younger, but he was always bigger than me, so he's almost like an older brother. So there were 3 of us playing Blind Man's Bluff. And we were making a lot of noise because we were running into things and just having a great time. Well, my father decided he wanted to get some sleep, so he started playing the game sneak upstairs and catch the boys. Well, as he was coming up the steps, there's some steps that are squeaky, and he caught one of the squeaky steps. And I'm by the light, and I go, Pop! You turn off the light, you hop in bed, and you start snoring. So there we are, in bed snoring. Up comes my dad, and he turns on the light. He looks over there, and there's Willie in the middle of the floor with the pillowcase over his head, roaming around in the dark, and there's me and Michael. So my dad kind of figures we were faking it. But he's looking at my brother Willie, and he gets that smile on his face. Now, this is my dad in the way he's dressed. He's in boxers and nothing else. And he's got that, what we call the railroad belt, the C&O belt. It's about this thick. And he's got that in his hand, and he's looking at Willie, and he's smiling. He kind of sneaks over to Willie, and he goes over and just gives him a little bit of tap. Something my father didn't understand. We'd been torturing Willie for quite a while by touching him. So he was ready that when he was being touched, he didn't care if he ran into a wall. he was not going to be it. So he turns around, leaps at who he thinks is me or my brother. His head hits my dad right in the private parts. His hands are out, and he's reaching out. And as my father goes up, my brother's got his shorts, and he goes down. So there's my dad with his belt in his hand, butt naked. My brother rolling around rolling around on the floor, saying, "You're it, you're it, you're it." And then he looks up, and he sees my father. And my father looks at him as he takes away his shorts, and he says, "Don't you move till I tell you to move. I'll kill you." And he walks over to the bed. We are just laughing like hyenas. And he's over there and he starts using the belt a little bit. And he realizes he can't do anything because it is the funniest thing we've ever seen. He said, "Shut up and go to sleep." He stomped to the door, turned off the light, and went downstairs. So there we are, sitting in the dark. My brother Michael goes, "Where's Willie?" I go, "He's still in the middle of the floor." So I go, "Willie." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Willie, come on to bed, man." "I can't." "Why can't you come to bed?" He said, "Dad told me to stand here till he told me to move." He didn't tell me to move, so I'm staying here. So we sat there for about a half hour trying to talk him off the ledge, basically the middle of the floor, and he wouldn't come. So we finally had to get up and pick him up and put his butt in bed and literally hold him down because he thought his life was at stake. And that's what you call blind man's bluff. All right. Last thing. At the end, I'm just going to give a little squeak of just a good thought or something that people should know. And this is my good thought for the day. You always hear when you're doing self-help books and all this stuff like that, but you really ought to do gratitude. But gratitude's really cool, but you ought to do it. And we all, when we read this and hear this and say it's supposed to really help us and change our life, we try it. But we kind of do it like we're drinking castor oil. It's kind of bad. We don't really not used to it. But I found that if you really become grateful, you really look around at what you have, the people in your life, the health and the different things that you have. And I don't care where you are on the food chain in terms of life, where things are going absolutely fantastic, or you feel like a truck's going to drive through your living room tomorrow, you are doing a lot better than billions of other people in the world. And the funny thing is, if you really start to feel gratitude and start to really see what's in your life, it'll be absolutely amazing. I look around and I see my wonderful wife. I see my fantastic children, which I have 3 of, 2 boys, 1 girl. We'll talk about them later. I got my health. I mean, I've really kind of abused myself through life, but I got my health. I got a fantastic job. And I'm heading toward retirement, and when I start eating that bread and water at retirement, I'm actually going to afford peanut butter and jelly on that sandwich. That is kind of cool. So, that's my thought for the day. And this is Weasel Dog, signing out. Love.